All right, you are live on Facebook. All right, whenever you're ready.
What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the MulletCast, the podcast where business and pleasure collide. I am Evan Balmer.
What's up, everyone? My name is Mike Mercia.
And today we are joined in the studio by Elizabeth Murphy. Elizabeth is a transformational health and wellness coach that educates people how to move, eat, and think optimally to show up more powerfully in their lives. Liz, you also personal train and teach group classes at Evolve Training. Check her out online on Instagram at RedBankRed, Facebook Elizabeth Fetterman Murphy, and your website is dobodywork.com. What's going on? How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
What's up?
No problem.
So I'm just going to dive right into it. Right before we started the podcast, you said you listened to a song to get loose and warmed up. I mean, before doing anything?
If anytime I have a meeting or a phone call that I want to feel my best for, it's like you got to raise your energy. Or before I'm teaching a class, it's put on whatever my favorite song is at the moment or whatever I'm just vibing to and just like, just move, just dance, whatever. So I'm in my car, like singing my best life or in my feet, like Kiki, you know, I can't sing, but I'm moving because I gotta get that energy up so we can have a good conversation.
So was Drake the song today?
It was Best Life. I think that's Cardi B.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Sweet. So if we get like parking lot footage, we'll see you in your car. Before
Yeah, my Corolla. I'm just like, I'm living my best life right now.
Great.
That's cool. So I know you have like online training, like you're creating like a group kind of atmosphere, right? To check in with people. Do people find you at Do Bodywork for that, or is that somewhere else?
They can find me at Do Bodywork. I'd say Do Bodywork is not my most active place to find me, but you can certainly find me through there. My goal is to post more frequently writings about women in particular that I find particularly inspiring. There's a few articles up there. I actually work with Ming for one I'm in process on right now. But you can find me on Instagram. I'm most active on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay. All right, cool. And then you do in-person training also.
I do.
All right, good deal. I follow your Instagram account. I know you got a lot of stuff going on there and definitely like good messages, but your Instagram name was Red Bank Red, right? And I believe because your hair was red at the time.
That's right. I'm going to go back to my roots soon.
All right, cool.
It's going to become red again.
The purple is cool, but
Yeah.
People are like, why don't you make it Red Bank Purple? I'm like, no.
It's a catchy name. It really is.
yeah, you can't change your handle as often.
I just have to
as
change the hair.
colors.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, maybe you always keep like one red streak or something,
Yeah.
even if it's mostly purple. That's pretty cool. So how did you get into like health, wellness, and training?
Long story. I kind of came to it later in life. I didn't grow up as an athlete. I didn't really do sports. I was very much a girly girl, an art student, art kid. Ended up going to art school for fashion design.
Right.
You know, got my degree through there, and through Rhode Island School of Design, and started working in the fashion industry. So I have 8 years working in the fashion industry as a designer outside Philadelphia and also in New York. How I came to fitness was because it changed my mindset and my confidence level. And that's kind of what I wanted to share with other people after it made that transformation for me. So I think now about, like, if I was in my teenage years and if I had an Instagram and if I was looking at all these social media accounts every day,
Right.
and I'm like, I don't think I would have made it.
Right.
I don't think I would have survived, because at that point in my life, I was so deeply insecure and not knowing, like, none of us really know who we are at that age.
Sure.
But I felt especially closed off,
Right.
and like a lack of personal and mental development because of how I felt about my physical appearance.
Right.
So
And what was your personal appearance like?
it was just, I was a very late bloomer. And I didn't feel, it's like your best friend in the 5th grade, in my case, like C cups. I'm
Right.
just gonna say, she was like the hottest thing going. And I was like, covered up. Like I was a late bloomer.
Right.
Nothing really happened for me.
Right.
And that just led to a lot of insecurity. And when I think about Instagram, I'm pointing because our Instagram's up over there. I'm like, I can't imagine how I would have dealt with that, because these kids are under so much constant pressure. And in my Instagram, sorry to go off track, but I try and show images that are strong and empowering, but still feminine.
Right.
Like you don't have to be all TNA, but you can be strong, but still feminine at the same time. And that's kind of my message in general. So anyway, I came to it later because I developed a lot of body image issues and eating disorders actually through college.
Right.
Because I felt like I was in such a lonely place at school. I wasn't happy. I wasn't thriving. I was thriving in my schoolwork, but that's because that's all I allowed myself to do.
Right.
And I graduated college at about 100 pounds, and I'm 5'7".
Wow.
So,
yeah.
deeply closed off, mentally shut down, and stunted in my growth. And when I left school and went into the real world, it's like, you can't maintain that when you have a real job.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you have to be in these social functions, whether it's for work or the friends you're trying to make. And I've had a hard time kind of managing that. So I found fitness as a way to also control how I looked, right? Burn calories. And I didn't touch strength training until later in my 20s when someone kind of exposed me to, you can feel different, you can look different if you start lifting up a couple of weights.
So you were doing cardio type of
Yeah,
stuff?
I was
initially?
just a cardio bunny for like my young 20s.
Like trying to stay at 100 pounds, basically. It was
Yeah,
your goal.
which I couldn't.
Right.
It was just like a vicious cycle. You can't stay there.
Right.
So strength training just kind of like blew the lid off that for me. That's when my body started to change. I developed more confidence in the way I felt physically. I had more energy. And I put on some curves that I'd always been seeking. So it felt good.
Right.
And I just kind of ran with it from there. Like I left my fashion job and I went down this path of seeking more information about fitness. And it's just like, I can never have enough information about it. I just I'm like a sponge too.
Right.
It's like,
So did you meet a person in particular that like helped you on this path early on? Like, was there someone, you said someone that said, hey, you can check out weight training?
Yeah,
Or
well,
was it just a mix of people along the way?
my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, he was an Olympic level like swimmer, and he'd always tell me, you know what, if you picked up some weights, you would look really good. Like, why don't you try doing this? And of course, I'm in that mindset of no,
Right.
Yeah.
which I still tell him no. He's my husband. I'm like, you just used to saying no, right? So he always encouraged it. He'd always kind of challenged me in a way like, think about this, or he's actually the one that said, why don't you dye your hair red? So I do have to give him credit for kind of expanding my mindset, which is good in a spouse and a partner, absolutely.
Sure.
But also the gym I had joined in New Jersey was called Sirius, at that time Centrix. And there was a MMA program, and there were these badass women hitting bags, throwing bags around.
Right.
And there's this trainer, Dave Davidson, who teaches the class, or he did teach the class. The gym is no longer open. But I was like, I think I want to do that. I don't know why I was drawn to it, because that's not what I was used to doing. But as soon as I started doing that, and I just wanted to do more, and he showed me a little bit about the strength training, and it just snowballed from there.
Right.
So how many years have you been just doing fitness?
Like
As a trainer?
career?
Yeah, as a trainer.
As a trainer, 3 years.
Okay. And then from the time that you left the fashion industry, it's been a hobby and a passion.
I left the fashion industry because a job came to an end. I was a freelancer. And mentally, I was like, you know what? I just can't go back into this yet. I need a break.
Right.
Because it's, commuting to New York. It's going through that rat race of the recruiters, the portfolios, the, climbing the ladder, which I was never very good at. And I was like, you know what? Let me just work at Lululemon for the holiday. They're hiring. I'm just going to do something fun. And
Right.
I love, athletic wear anyway. I was designing a little athletic wear for Nautico at the time. And I started with a seasonal job there. It became a full-time job. I was there for about a year and a half. Loved it as a retail job.
Right.
And at the same time, started getting my certifications.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what other certifications do you have aside from like fitness? Is there a nutrition aspect to your studies also?
I can't say that. Precision nutrition.
Okay.
PN level 1.
Okay.
What else? There's a lot of them are fitness certifications.
Gotcha.
Like TRX, On It Foundations, love On It Academy. Started on my Pilates mat certification. I like a little bit of everything. Like I
Right.
like to know. Sometimes I feel like I'm like just too broad, and I gotta hone it in because the way I train too is not even just bodybuilding or conditioning, or I'd like to just kind of blend it all.
Right.
How's Evolve? I know you've been there for a few months now, right?
Yeah, it's great. They're great people over there. It's a awesome environment. Kelly Mahoney and Billy Dawson are
Yeah.
the owners of that studio. Small studio, but great energy and people. I don't know. It's a good fit.
It's a good fit.
It's a good fit.
So do people reach out to the studio directly if they want to class with you, or do they connect with you first and then come in over there?
Yeah, just reach out, connect with me. We offer group classes. We also do private one-on-one training.
Cool.
Is it men and women?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You flip tires?
Yeah.
You like flipping the tires?
Flipping the tires, it's just there's something primal about it.
Right.
I don't know what it is.
That's fine.
That big tire out in front is 500
Yeah,
pounds. You want to come flip that one?
I'll flip that one. Yeah, yeah. I'll take a hammer to it too. Yeah,
Nice.
I do love that.
So what's your starting point with someone like, I guess, you know, like you said, you're kind of all over with fitness, nutrition, things like that. What like a new client comes to you, where do you start basically?
Are they a blank slate? Well, I guess it doesn't matter. New client. What's your fitness background? What's your health history, of course,
Right.
but also why are you here?
Goals, right?
Yeah, no, but like really, why are you here? Like, is it you put on 10 pounds? You just don't feel good, but kind of trying to dig deeper into, well, why is it important for you to take off that 10 pounds, or
Right.
why do you need that energy? So they really kind of make that. You need to have them make an emotional connection to
Gotcha.
the reason behind it, so that they can keep that and remember that later when things get challenging, because losing weight or putting on muscle, whatever your goals are, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Right? It's that consistency day in and day out. It's that discipline, and it's not easy.
Yeah, I guess it's easier for someone to say, I just want to, I want to slim out and go down, a pant size. But the trigger of that need could be deeper than that, and that's what you go for. It could be someone just extremely insecure, post pregnancy weight, or dad bod weight, and they want to just get back to where they were.
Yeah, it's kind of like tapping into pains and fears. Like, what place are they in right now? Like, what happens if they stay where they are? What happens if you keep that 10 pounds? Like, how is that going to affect your life? And then let's think about how your life could be if you lose it, or whatever the goal is. How's that
Yeah.
going to change your life? How are you going to feel? How are you going to look?
Right. It's kind of like I pulled a couple quotes off your Instagram before, which I thought was interesting, and this one is, a coach's first job is to be a reminder of people's personal freedom. I'm not here to tell anyone what to do. I'm here to show them what the path they take leads to. So it's kind of like you're saying. It's cool. I always thought a coach was like, all right, tell me, what do I need to do? But you're really saying, no, it's kind of like you said, dig into why is someone
Yeah.
really there, and what do they want, and
Because me telling you what to do, you can go on the internet and read what to do.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
but it's until you make some kind of connection of why that's
Right.
important for you to do, and someone shows you what could happen if you do that, or what happens if you don't, and you stay in the same place, you're not going to do it. You know?
Right.
So if you have a client that they open up and you learn that there's a deeper root to why they want to get fit, or whatever their health motivation is, do you work with a nutritionist? Do you have are you the life coach, or just the personal trainer? Do you have a life coach that works with you, or you kind of cover all the grounds?
I know some life coaches. It depends kind of what the client needs.
Okay.
Right. So if they need, I do kind of like, most people need basic level nutrition. If you think about it, most people are like just all over the place. I'm not really working with competitors and athletes to that fine level. That's a different. I would refer out elsewhere. We've got some great people at the studio that do that.
Okay.
But it's like most people just don't even know like the building blocks. Like, well, new clients will ask me, well, what about fasting cardio, or what about like carb cycling? I'm like, listen, we gotta get the basics here first.
Yeah.
Like, you just need to learn these essential concepts
Right.
and master them before we can get onto any of that stuff.
And that's just like more water, less carbs, more fruit, like that kind of stuff as far as nutrition.
All right, we got to start from the basics with you. Liz is looking at you like,
know?
dude.
Well, again, it
yeah,
depends
what are
on
they?
what the client's
know, like-
needs are.
Yeah, I guess.
So, like, what's a go-to? Like, how should someone start their day? Let's start with that.
Well rested,
Right.
right? In an ideal world, well rested. I love to say drink water as soon as you wake up. I prefer hot water with lemon, 16 ounces or more. Taking time. I know we don't always have time in our morning, but I think one of the best ways to start your day is intentionally. So thinking about what you see yourself accomplishing for the day, or what targets you have for the day, for the week, for the month. How does that work in to what you're going to do today?
Right.
And just starting your day with a positive mindset. Ultimately, yeah.
I'm like 0 for 5 on
rushing.
that list.
Just roll out of bed,
Right.
drink a coffee.
Have a pot of coffee.
Ming's like, yeah.
I like that though. That's a cool idea. Like intentionally. That's
I mean, some people meditate. I don't meditate, but I do. I mean, I have things written on my mirror in the bathroom, like just thoughts that I will say in my head and also say out loud. Almost affirmations.
right.
Yeah.
It's the best time, in the days, that 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. period for individuals.
Right.
I mean, even if you are drinking a coffee, you could drink a coffee and read a book, and before anybody else in your house wakes up, it's your time.
Right.
Water would be better,
Yep,
like Liz said.
For
but-
sure.
Right, and trying not to touch this first thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's a huge one that I listened to some entrepreneur recently, and he said that he bought an alarm just so he doesn't have to use his phone and it's not by his bed,
Right.
and he'll
Yeah.
charge it on the other side of the room, and he'll make a point not to touch it. So
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Gotta do more of that. So I see your shirt says "Woman Up."
Woman up.
Is that an affirmation as well? Like, what does that mean to you?
It means you can be whatever you want to be.
Right.
It means, and this is Kayla Cookies, by the way. I'm going to shout them out. That's the maker of the shirt. She's
It's
local.
cool.
She's local.
Cool logo
Yeah.
for sure.
So for me, it means not, I'd say being more intentional about what you want to, whoever you are, whatever you want to be. It's like another post I wrote about is maybe you have this preconceived notion about what you think is feminine and what we're told to do as women or expected to do, and it's like, F that. If you don't want to do any of that, if you don't want to have a family and kids, you don't have to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
so just embrace yourself
Yes.
entirely. Yeah,
And if you do want a family, kids, awesome, do that.
yeah. Awesome.
Do you
I like
feel
that.
like you meet a lot of women that remind you of yourself, like when you were in your teens or in your 20s, and they're still looking for, like, that you can relate to what they're going through, that kind of stuff?
I think more often than not, yeah.
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 And, like, how do you help them kind of shortcut maybe what you went through?
Just, I think, leading by example
Right.
and not necessarily being like, oh, look at me, read my story, but just
Right.
having that, I guess, presence or how you just interact with someone.
That's awesome. Men go through the same thing. Like, it's, I'm sure you're gonna find it on both sides. People that are just insecure
Sure.
for whatever reason. I mean, yeah. That's why the gym's so packed.
Right.
One
Yeah.
people have a goal to be healthy too. It's people are trying to change something physically about them, or
Right.
I
I mean, it's like you said, I think in a lot of ways it is tougher today, like because of social media. You may have said this on your account a while ago, is like, don't post stuff that's like, the BS version of you. You know what I mean? Like, oh, because that's I think what a lot of people do. Like, oh, here's what I want to project to the world of this is my life, right? Instead of showing like what their life really is, So there's still probably a lot of the same feelings of not fitting in or insecurities, but people just project this different image of themselves now as a different way.
Which is why I think people like stories so much too, because without the filters, that's real,
Right?
a real snapshot of what someone's doing and how they look day to day.
Right.
Well, I'm talking as far as Instagram,
Sure.
and Facebook.
Right. Yeah. But it is tough for kids. Like I look at my daughter, the 12. Like for those kids, it's like the nonstop, barrage of,
It's crazy. It's
Snapchat,
scary.
I can't imagine, but we looked so crazy when we were growing up. Like if you look back, like the pictures, I'm like, what the? The kids now, they just, I don't know if it's because it's present day, they look like normal, sane people. We looked insane with
I think it's
hairstyles
streamlined.
and
I think it's like streamlined. Like
I think we weren't aware, or it looked good then.
Right.
yeah, I think it's so easy to see so many people that everybody like children. I say children. I'm 27. Young teens are trying to, you guys both said, are trying to portray this image, to be better than the other person.
Right.
So you have 15-year-olds that look like what I remember being 18, 19, 20 years old, and it's terrifying.
It's crazy. Right.
Yeah.
And there's also like social media depression is like a thing now where the FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
People are actually suffering depression because they see this whole platform where people are going around the world and traveling, living this lavish life, and they feel like they're at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I was listening to, I think it was Lewis Howe's podcast the other day, and he had this guest on that said, he was citing somebody else, but the quote was, "Different is better than better." I'm like, you know what, that's right. If you're always trying to be better than better, it's a losing.
Wow, I actually like that.
Like,
yeah.
it's a losing cycle. There's always going to be someone's going to come along and be better at you than this or that. And to really,
Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't know, find your niche, just be what you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Different's better than better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing someone can't exceed is being you, right? Like I can't be you better than you. You know, right?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. That's pretty cool.
I like that one. I'm
Um,
gonna write that down before I forget.
what else are you into? I know you got some tats. You want to give a
Yes.
shout out to anyone in particular? Who's
Dave Shoemaker, he's done all my work.
Where's Dave?
Dave's in Ninth Wave Tattoo. That's his shop. It's in Asbury Park, Bangs Avenue.
Okay, that's cool. Definitely
Nice.
cool stuff. Is that like would you consider that a hobby or an interest?
An interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got anything on deck coming up
I
next?
don't. I did the arm. I have some abdomen and some back of my thigh, but
Right.
that's all they have planned right now.
Yeah. They've got the big convention in Asbury, I think this weekend, right?
Yeah.
Tattoo convention.
Right. And I know you have obviously fitness interests. We saw you out at the Red Bank 5K. But what do you do like downtime of how do you decompress from dealing with other people?
I like quiet time at home.
Right.
Honestly, like my husband is a bartender, so
you get
we
some
have
quiet
opposite
moments.
schedules. So
Yeah.
it's like, I need that time of like just alone time because I am dealing with people so much
Right.
every day. So what else? I don't know. Dance to my favorite song. Smile at strangers. See what they do. You tried that, like just smiling at people on the street, and they like
That's a cool
don't
one.
know what to do.
Psychopath.
Yeah.
So I went to a college with a speaking tradition, and you were supposed to say hi to everyone you encountered. So literally, and like you look back at in the like 1800s or something, like the freshmen wore beanies or something, and the idea was because they could peg them. So like if freshmen weren't following the speaking tradition, right, you quickly like point out you didn't say hi to me, and you got to say hi.
And what was the consequence?
I don't know if there what the consequence really was, but at least it was pointed out that they weren't following it, and
Public
but
shame.
it is cool, like because I noticed that. So that was like, a small town in Virginia, and where it is a more relaxed lifestyle and people are chill, and then you come back to New York and you realize just people walk by each other without ever encountering each other, So it is interesting to someday say hi, something as basic as that, and you don't know what it leads to, right? Or smiling at somebody, it's the same thing. It's cool. Yeah.
make someone's day sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that cheesy commercial where it sets off this chain reaction.
Yeah.
You ever seen that?
Yeah.
It's like paying it forward, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. That's cool. So what's your personal workout routine like? Do you train with somebody or you do it on your own?
Mostly on my own. I lift, I'd say 3 or 4 days a week.
Right.
There's a few classes I might drop into. I need to do more yoga, but I take like HIIT classes, lift, and that's about it.
What's a HIIT class?
High intensity interval training.
Okay. And that entails just a mix of workouts?
Like getting your heart rate up. It's like basically cardiovascular conditioning.
Okay. Cool.
Nice.
I could use one of those right now.
That's right.
Should have done one beforehand.
That's cool. So anything else that you like to do for fun that you want to talk about? Get a little more of that mullet convo going?
I'm not that fun.
You're not?
I'm such a nerd, I'll be honest. Like,
What do you read a lot still?
what am I reading right now? I'm reading Woman Code. I'm sure you want to hear about that. It's about
that's
like
it. Mike's been
syncing
trying to
your
crack the
hormones.
woman code.
Lay it out.
that's about like female energy and syncing your hormones and all that. But I'm always reading things on, of course, LinkedIn,
Right.
Facebook, just consuming. I know it's like you can't always just consume. You need to be putting out there too. That's the trouble too. You like fall into the trap of just consuming more content and putting out less. But
Right.
that's always the push and the balance.
In terms of,
else?
you mentioned you like to write.
I do like to write. I mean, I like to write posts. I like to write for my blog. I need to do that more often.
So where'd that come from?
Where'd that come from? My mom is an English teacher.
There you go.
Yeah.
There it is. That'll do it.
So I think I just got disciplined in a way that I became decent at it, and I actually enjoy doing it. And like I said, I have that art background, but so I grew up drawing and painting. I don't do any of that anymore.
Right.
And sewing. I don't do anything, much to my mother's dismay. She's like, when are you going to pick up that sewing machine again? Like, never. But I don't use my hands anymore.
Right.
But I think the creative outlet for me has become the writing and become like styling the pictures that I have for my blog or for my Instagram, because I work with a photographer to do all those, and we come up with the ideas together. And there's a lot that goes into setting up photo shoots, like
Right.
where are you going to take the photos, what outfitting, what mood do you want. So I think that has become my outlet as far as my creativity. And I've noticed I feel as if I convey my message much better through writing than I do through speaking. So I did just join Toastmasters. My first speech is next week.
That's cool.
Nice.
What's the topic?
It's your icebreaker speech. So kind of introducing yourself to the group.
All right, you want to lay it on us? A little
No.
dress rehearsal.
I'm going to write it last minute. No, I'm not.
That's cool. No, it's interesting. I didn't even think about that, but your fashion background definitely comes well into play, like with what you're doing on Instagram. You know, obviously you're setting up shoots. You know, you don't. I mean, it definitely has a professional vibe. And are you like tying obviously the words together with particular images as well, or is it just kind of
I try to, but some days
just what you're feeling?
what you're feeling doesn't exactly match the picture. You know, it's like
Right.
a gym selfie. But, you know, it still works.
Right. That's cool. So what's your like kind of longer term goal for what you're doing on there?
In general,
Yeah.
with what I'm doing, I love training people, but I do think I have a greater purpose than that. I think I need to impact more people, spread my message more, and the message of just self-empowerment, you know, being whatever you want to be, and how just taking care of yourself allows you to do that. So it may become, I mean, I'm hoping it becomes more like, it's hard to say this at this point, but maybe it is public speaking, or it is writing, or a combination of both.
Right. Yeah. Like, do you ever think of compiling what you've written into a book or anything?
I haven't thought about writing a book.
I guess that would be like an English teacher's mother's dream. Right?
Yeah,
Like, my young published daughter.
I still have her proofread. Like my,
Yeah, I was gonna say, just have her edit it.
Can you?
This has to be lowercase. You need a comma here.
That's cool. All right, awesome. Well, I definitely encourage everyone to go out and check out Liz online. Once again, on Instagram at RedBankRed. Check out the website at dobodywork.com. Liz, thanks very much for coming in. Definitely enjoyed having you in here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Evan Balmer, you can check me out at balmerlawgroup.com and on Instagram at Evan Balmer.
Mike Mercia, you could find me at mortgageguy_Mike on Instagram. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Nice.
you.